All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everyone. This is Todd Smith, the CEO of Blue Horizon Venture Consulting, and welcome to our presentation this evening. We're going to give people a couple more minutes to trickle in here, but we've already got a pretty good crowd. Tonight's presentation is entitled 7 Secrets of a Fundable Business Plan. Again, my name is Todd Smith. I'm the president and CEO of Blue Horizon Venture Consulting, and I will tell you a little bit about myself and my firm while people are still joining us. We've been in business here since 2007. Personally, I have been writing business plans and working with people in entrepreneurial consulting since 1998. And our business plans have helped our clients raise in excess of $175 million to date. And we've worked in a wide variety of industries and with clients all over the world. And it's an interesting segue because we have clients listening to us this evening from 5 different continents. And I know there's some people out there who are joining us at ungodly hours. I think someone in Estonia is joining us at 3 a.m. So my hat's off to that young lady who was willing to drink some coffee and stay up late with us. So we're going to have a great presentation this evening. Want to go ahead and tell you this great joke I found. And believe me, I searched long and hard trying to find a decent joke about business plans, and this is it. The business plan you prepare must be a lie, but it must be a detailed and precise lie rather than a vague and general lie. And there's some truth in this joke. It's tongue-in-cheek, but you know, one thing you have to understand is there's a lot that goes into these business plans, and the point should be well taken. There's a lot of detail and precision that goes into creating a really good business plan. And yeah, it's not really a lie. These are assumptions that we have to make, and they're based on solid foundation and research. So tonight's agenda, I've given you a little bit of an introduction. We're going to dive right into the 7 secrets of a fundable business plan. I also want to tell you a bit about a very special opportunity for the people that have taken the time to listen to the call this evening. And then whatever time we have left, we're going to do Q&A. And I apologize for this. It's going to be kind of a one-way presentation this evening because we've got a lot of ground to cover. And I'm not going to be able to take live questions. But if you do have a question, feel free to type it into the little box on the lower right-hand side of your screen. And when we get to the Q&A section of the evening, we will go ahead and answer as many of those questions as we can. And the ones that I can't answer for you online on the broadcast in the hour that we have together, I will certainly make every effort to send you an email personally trying to answer that question for you. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and dive right in to the 7 secrets of a fundable business plan. So secret number 1 is the model. And as I alluded to in some of my emails leading up to the webinar, my personal belief is that the financial model that you create for your business plan, as opposed to the other kind of model, is the backbone of your business plan. And it's what I do first. I know there are other planners out there that would probably disagree with my approach, but I think it really kind of sets the table, sets your mind right in terms of understanding your own business and how you're going to be driving revenue to that business and what expenses and everything go into it. So the reason I say do it first, I'm not saying you're going to have a finished version of your financial model right off the bat, but when you lay that framework, it just sets the table for everything else that you do throughout the course of building your business plan. So again, those assumptions are the key to any business plan. You know, obviously this is a forward-looking document. Most business plans kind of have a 5-year forecast window. You get any further beyond that, and you start taking liberties with what may or may not happen. But 5 years is kind of the accepted norm for a business plan time horizon. And those assumptions are driven by the market research that you do. And I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some good insights on some market research free market research things that you can take advantage of out there. There are some paid market research things that we use here that are excellent sources of information, but there's plenty of free information, and you can get quite a bit for your business plan just going out there. First of all, doing a Google search, and it's seems pretty obvious, but a lot of the information you get back really depends on the search you're doing. So your specific industry, there's some key terms that you can use. I have 5 that I'll list out here for you. So if you have a pen, you might want to write some of these down. It might help you out when you're doing your preliminary market research. But market size, statistics, market trends, companies, and market share. So if you take the industry you're in, let's say auto parts, you want to enter auto parts market size, auto parts statistics into Google, and you'll be surprised what pops up. You may find some great research reports, some industry data. You may find the name of a report that costs $500. You take the name of that, cut and paste the name of that report back into Google, and you may find a free source that has that report published for you. So obviously Google is a great source of information. Next, I would say is the trade journals and is the associations in your industry. Most industries have some kind of association. So if you go and check out Auto Parts Association or Auto Parts Trade Journal, you may get some very good information. And when you hit those sites, there's almost always market research to be found within those industry sites. So that's a great source. Our government, for everything it does, is also a publisher of tons of information. And I will give you a list of great sites that you can check out. Census.gov is one. That's census.gov. IRS.gov. Fedstats.gov. That's FEDSTATS.gov. BLS.gov, which stands for the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. A great source of information. And then USPTO.gov, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Organization, that has tons of information about information, patents, and trademarks, and so forth. And then a couple of private sites I'll mention for you: eMarketer.com, LexisNexis.com, and FreeEdgar.com. Those are all good sources of either articles, marketing information, or SEC filings on public companies that may be your competitors, or just an industry player that you want to do some research on. So that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. I wanted to throw out some good sources of market research, because what you find about your market really can drive your assumptions. So you may find in your market research that there's X dollars in sales, $300 million in sales in your industry every year globally. You may have a breakdown further by North America, South America, Asia, Europe, etc. And then once you have that full market size, you can drive your financial assumptions by saying, hey, I'm gonna seek to have a penetration rate of 0.04% in year 1 and scale that up from there. And this will drive your revenue model. So doing that market research, getting that information on your industry, your competitors, your customers, all of that information can feed into your revenue model. And you want to think here about every single source of revenue that your business can possibly generate, because you're building this into a model. In my case, I use Excel. There are some canned software programs out there for financial modeling. I find that Excel is much more flexible because we all have very different businesses, and we all have unique characteristics in our companies, and those canned software programs just don't do them justice. So I recommend using Excel. I have a great model that I've worked with over the years, and I find it's great. So you find out all your sources of revenue. That's step one. You find your sales estimates in terms of volume assumptions, and then you have your pricing assumptions, and you combine those, and that's where you're generating your top line revenues in your financial model. Capital expenditures, you got to rack your brain, think of everything that you could possibly need in your business in terms of equipment, machinery. These are major one-time expenses that you're bringing, to get your company started. And then when you think about expenses, there are of course tons of categories here for expenses, but some of the major categories are your human resource costs, so your salaries, your employee count, a lot of the ongoing expenses that you see every day in your business, the cost of goods sold. Whether you've got products or services, you have costs of goods sold going out, and all of the expenses that feed into that. So once you've gathered all this information, you can create your forward-looking pro forma financial statements. That's your income statement, balance sheet, cash flow statement. And in my case, I have a really detailed financial model. It has funding analysis, it has a valuation and graphics that kind of jazz up the whole financial model and make it look great. So a lot said here in this secret number one. This is probably the most complicated secret. Don't worry, we're not going to get as in-depth in the other ones, but it's very important, and in my opinion, this is the backbone, this is the heart of your business plan. And you build this thing first, it really gets you thinking about all the different pieces of your business. And then once you go through the rest of the business plan and creating it and bringing it all together, you can circle back to the financial model again and fine-tune it and really get it set. And you'll also want to have some flexibility to do scenario analysis in your financial model that says, okay, well, what happens if I have the worst case scenario, which is usually what investors push you towards. What happens in the best case scenario, and what's the most likely scenario? And those are great exercises to go through once you have a solid financial model. So secret number two is the team. And if you talk to any investors out there, they will tell you the two most important things they look at when they first look at a business plan are the people involved and the numbers. And we've already covered the numbers. So the people involved is probably the second most important thing. And building a team with a startup, a balanced team with a startup is really important. You have to have people with experience in finance, experience in marketing, and experience just with startups in general, a good track record. And you also want to build a board of advisors, a board of directors. This is a step that a lot of people don't take. They're really kind of working on the nuts and bolts of their business, and they don't take the time to go out and find people in their industry who are experts, who are well known, and who are key people that if you can add them to your team, you can do extremely well. And a lot of people are flattered to be asked to join their board, to join your board. They're saying, okay, well, this is a startup, and somebody I'm interested in helping, and it doesn't take a lot of my time, but adding that name and that resume to your business plan can do wonders. And the last question here, what if I'm a solopreneur? That does not preclude you from building a team in your business plan. And your team can consist of people, they might not be full-time employees, but they're key advisors, they're accountants, they're attorneys, they're again advisors and board of director type people. So you want to spend some time on this and not gloss over it. It's not Joe's startup, because that's a hard thing to get funded. But when you have a solid team behind you, your chances of success go up significantly, and especially if you've got a good, solid set of financials backing you as well. So secret number three is brevity. One major mistake that a lot of people make is they just they get overly verbose in their their business plan. There's 70, 80, 90, 100 plus pages, and it's a lot of it's just fluff. It's just I read plans all the time, and I can quickly spot this, and investors are the same way. They read right through that, and you have to understand you're writing a business plan. For most people, they're writing a business plan to get investors on board, and those investors are who you're writing to. You're not writing a marketing piece, and I see people struggle with this sometimes. They want to be, use marketing language, flowery language, and get people all excited, and that's not what this is all about. That's not what a business plan is typically aimed at. strictly at investors, speak their language, stick to the key facts, and don't fluff it up, don't be repetitive, and remember who it is you're talking to. These people are experts at startups, they're experts in investing, and you don't want to make them mad. So certainly keeping things concise and brief are to your advantage. So secret number 4 is the milestones, and milestones are critical. Both short-term achievable milestones for your business and long-term goals for the company over the course of your 5-year plan and beyond. I always include a little section in my business plans for long-term vision, which is beyond the 5-year scope of the business plan, to show that yeah, we're concentrating on these key goals for the very short term and for the intermediate term, but we also have ideas that go beyond that. And you want to show that you're thinking, near term and long term. So the short term, the launch milestones is what I call that. You're in development, you're beta testing your idea, and then you go to a full launch. And this may or may not apply to you. A lot of software and app type companies out there these days. It definitely applies, but in any kind of business, I think there's definitely milestones, these short-term milestones that you want to accomplish, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, that you're going to accomplish over the next 1 month and 3 months and 6 months. And then you want to get into those longer-term annual targets. And a lot of times this kind of plays back into the financials. One thing to keep in mind is most investors are not going to write you a big check and say, here's $5 million, go rock and roll. They're going to say, well, here's 500,000. Let's see what you can do. Let's see if you do what you said you're going to do in your business plan. And then when you do that, I'm going to give you the next million, and so on. And that's typically how that works. So keeping that in mind, you want to say, okay, milestones, what milestones can I hit? What can I get the investors to buy into? And make sure that they're realistic for you, not overshoot them, because then you'll get yourself into trouble. You run out of money. So definitely want to make realistic milestones, and when you hit them, you can definitely pave the way and keep that investment funding coming in. Now, secret number 5 is marketing, a marketing plan. This is a section of your business plan, and I see a lot of people gloss over this. They just, they put in boilerplate language, and it's really just garbage. And I think this is very critical, because you can have the best idea in the world. You can have the greatest technology in the world, but if you don't know how to market that technology or that idea and get it out to your customer base, you're dead in the water. And this is where it all starts. Sales and marketing is what drives a business. So, list segmentation, and this feeds back again to that step 1 where we were out there doing that market research. You understand, you do your customer research, and then you can understand how you segment your customers and how you can target them in small niches and possibly, get more business out of a niche type thing than trying to shotgun approach and spending tons of money. It's almost never as effective as when you can drill down into specific niches with your message. And again, there's this marketing triangle: the market, message, and media, making sure that all 3 of those things are aligned, because if you're missing one piece, the marketing's just not going to work. So, understanding who your market is, again with that niche type concept, making sure you get the right message to those people, and then using the right media to get their attention. Again, using a multimedia approach: internet, radio, print, television, direct mail, trade shows, and I'm sure I'm missing, tons of other media. But relying on only one thing, like saying I'm going to go out and dominate the internet, and what happens if your website goes down, or what happens if Google pulls the plug on you? Investors like to see that you have multiple channels for attracting customers, and not just one. That gives them more security that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. So again, it's a combination here of online and offline tactics. The tried and true, and also the new stuff that's out there. Social media certainly being a big component these days. Email marketing, which is kind of losing its effect. And we may see more direct mail. You notice A few years back, you used to get tons and tons of junk mail, and these days we hardly get any. And that's interesting, but I think it's going to make a comeback personally, but we'll see about that. So, secret number 6, formatting. And this may not seem like a big deal, but again, you have a customer base that's typically out there looking at a lot of business plans in any given day. You want to make your information real easy to find. So using a good table of contents, using a specific consistent format that's easy for them to jump, because almost no investor will just sit down and read through a business plan end to end. They're going to pick and choose the sections they want to see. And again, I'll go back to that statement I made earlier about investors looking at those two things, the numbers and the team. They're probably going to flip through. They want to find their management team and see who's involved, and then they want to go back to the financials and see, what the 5-year forecast looks like, what the valuation looks like, and then, if they're satisfied with those two things, then they might go back and take a look at the next section. But they're all different, and they all kind of have a different approach for tearing these things apart. So you want to make sure that you're very consistent and the information is easy to find. And not to dive in too far into Microsoft Word or any other word processing software. There's a lot of style sheets and using the table of contents, using when you get into an investor presentation, using video and animations. All of those things can be effective. You want to use the right amount, though. You don't want to overdo it because people see through that as well. But just kind of making it, having some pizzazz but not going overboard, I think is kind of a critical balance. And again, throughout your business plan, you want to use graphics and photos to help sell your story, because all people learn differently. There's some people that are very visual. They soak in information through graphs and charts, and there's some people that are very auditory and hear things, and there's other people that will read and pull the information out that way. So if you can make it easy for as many people as possible, that's going to be good news for you. So, and then lastly, secret number 7 is your exit strategy, and this is absolutely critical. And again, you're thinking from the investor's perspective, and investors, they want to know how they're going to get their money back. They're putting this hard-earned money into your company, and they want to make sure and know when, how they're going to get that money back, how much of a return they're going to get. You got to put yourself in their shoes as well. It's not just, hey, I'm lending you $3 million, or I'm buying shares of stock in your company for $3 million. But it's not forever. They've got a timetable. They've got things they want to do with their money. So think about the different ways that you might have an exit strategy for them. If you have multiple options, that's all the better. So whether it's paying them back from the internally generated funds of your business, whether it's going out and getting a new round of capital and offering them the chance to cash out at that point. Reverse mergers are certainly an interesting concept where you can actually go public into a shell company without doing a major IPO. And of course, the IPO, not nearly as popular as it was a decade ago, but they're still happening, and I think that activity is definitely going to start to pick up in the near future. And then, of course, mergers and acquisitions, making yourself an attractive candidate for someone to acquire you. Like all these companies that Google goes out and acquires for hundreds of millions of dollars. That's not a bad way to exit a business. So beginning with the end in mind is always a good idea. So keep that exit strategy in mind. So that covers the 7 secrets of a fundable business plan. I think we got some good tips out there. I used up about half of my time this evening. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead and pop them into the chat box over there to the right, and I will try to get to them as soon as I can in the Q&A section. So feel free to do that. But now I want to talk to you guys about a very unique opportunity that I'm offering to the people that are listening to this webinar and or the recording of this webinar, and that is the launch of a new product that I call the Business Plan Blueprint. And this is a month-long course where we're going to dive into all the details, and I'm going to help you create your own business plan over the course of 4 weeks. We're going to have 8 one-hour webinars, and each one is going to delve into 2 different topics. So basically, we're going to have 16 different sessions. We'll have 2 sessions at each webinar, 4 sessions a week. We're going to go step by step, and I'm going to give you the templates and the financial model and help you through all of that. And that if you do all the work at the end of the course, you're going to have your own fundable business plan. So let me dive into a little bit of the details about this great opportunity. And by the way, I'm going to be completing a business plan for one of my own startups. This is something I call Mastermind Adventures, and this is a real company I'm planning to start later this year or in 2013. And the premise of Mastermind Adventures is basically, with all of the noise and technology and constant communication that we're plugged into 24/7, it's almost information overload. And my idea is to take entrepreneurs, business owners like yourselves on some kind of adventure travel trip, whether it's bicycling or kayaking, hiking, something with different levels of difficulty. There'll be some pretty strenuous things like climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, and there might be some pretty laid back type things like paddling down a pretty calm river for a couple of days. And during that time, we're going to do masterminding, which is where we discuss each member of the group's business. We work on ways of improving it, and just being unplugged from the day-to-day grind and constant bombardment of technology. I think it's going to be an extremely valuable experience. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm going to basically show you guys what I do when I go through my business plan process while I'm helping you do the same. So here's what's involved. There's 8 one-hour webinar training sessions spread out over 4 weeks. They're going to be Monday and Wednesday evenings. Those are usually, this time of year, pretty safe nights for people. Any events that you miss, by the way, we're going to record all of these training sessions, so you will all have access to the recorded sessions. I guess the downside of not being live on one of the sessions is you can't get your questions answered. It's going to be a small group. We're not going to have any more than 10 participants at any one time. And the other thing I'm going to give you each is 5 additional hours of individual one-on-one training time or assistance with me, where I'll work with you directly on your plan and helping you in whatever way I can to make sure that you're moving forward and getting everything done. And again, you're going to get our custom business plan templates and our financial model as well. But there's a lot more involved, so I want to share some of that with you. There is an investment, of course. It's $14.97, which is really a fraction of what it would cost to get a professional to prepare your business plan for you. And at the end of the course, you're going to have a detailed, professional, fundable business plan, a 5-year pro forma financial model with all financial statements, funding analysis, graphics, valuation, and an engaging PowerPoint investor presentation. We're going to start this course on January 30th. It's going to wrap up on the 22nd of February. And we're going to do the same time frame. I know for some of you, the international folks, that might not be ideal, but it's tough on our end to kind of please everybody. So we're trying to make it somewhat flexible so East Coast, West Coast, U.S. can get on these calls. But again, we'll have the recordings as well, so you're more than welcome to use those recordings. And I will personally work with you for that one-on-one time to make it whenever it's convenient for you. And if that means I've got to get up super early or stay up a little bit late to work with you in another country, not a problem. So another option here, I'll allow you to spread your investment out over 4 payments if that helps you out to get enrolled and get started. And I want to emphasize this guarantee. Anyone who enrolls and isn't totally thrilled and satisfied with that they're getting a great value after that first class, you can cancel, get your money back, no questions asked, no problem. I absolutely guarantee everybody's going to be thrilled, but if you're not, that's my guarantee to you. And I want to tell you about all the bonuses that I'm going to throw at you that really make this an incredible value. A couple of cool things: an ebook called Setting Up for Success that I created a while back that gives you a lot of tips and tricks on managing your company the right way, setting things up so that you have good automated process flow and you're not wasting a lot of time doing things you shouldn't be doing. Frontline Financing is a product we created here. It's a course that teaches you 37 ways to generate seed funding for your company and manage your progress through the control center function. Really cool ways, and it digs into crowdfunding and grant funding and angel investors, all kinds of great stuff in there. So it's a great value. I've got a nice little leather-bound planner, 2012 planner, that'll help you kind of keep your appointments organized. We're going to be starting an entrepreneurial membership group here at Blue Horizon in the near future. We're going to give you a 1-year membership in that group, and also going to set you up on EquityNet. And if you're not familiar with EquityNet, I suggest you check it out. It's equitynet.com, and basically it's if you're familiar with Morningstar for mutual funds, it's kind of the Morningstar for startups. And you enter your information into this system. Once you've gone through the business plan process, you can enter all your information, and investors can analyze it just like they would analyze a mutual fund on Morningstar. And this is a great way to showcase your business and get it in front of a lot of potential active investors who are out there doing this thing. And because you're involved in the launch of Mastermind Adventures, I'm going to give you a 25% discount off a future Mastermind Adventures trip. And this is, there's going to be some pretty exotic locations, so it's a pretty significant value. And also for the people that pay in full today, I'm going to give you 2 additional hours of consulting time and a free broadcast to our entire investor network of your business plan. So that's going to get you in front of a lot of people who may have an interest in investing in your business, and it's going to be absolutely free, and that's a great value as well. So just to recap, you're going to get a full venture capital ready business plan package. I'm going to be working with you directly, one-on-one and in the webinar sessions. I'm going to give you the Setting Up for Success ebook, Frontline Financing, the planner, membership in the Blue Horizon Venture Consulting group, 5 to 7 hours of consulting time, free setup on EquityNet, and 25% discount off of Mastermind Ventures trip. So that is kind of it in a nutshell. There's a lot of value here for a lot less in price. So if you're interested, go ahead and check out, write down this website. I know it's a little bit long, but www.bluehorizonvc.com/businessplanblueprint with dashes in between. And again, I only have space for 10 participants. I just don't have any more time that I can allocate. So it's a first come, first serve thing. I'll look forward to getting started with you, and we'll see you on January 30th. So without further ado, I want to see if we have any questions in the queue. I'm going to leave this up here for a minute while I try to figure out this question. Looks like we've got some questions. If I can figure out how to read them. There's, let's see. Okay, wow, we got a lot of questions. I just got to make this section a little bigger, so bear with me. Okay, somebody, can you repeat the 5 market research, the phrases. Okay, so the 5 phrases are, and if you've got a pen, go ahead and write these down. Market size, statistics, market trends, companies, and market share. Now what you want to do when you go to Google is take those 5 phrases, market size, statistics, market trends, companies, and market share, and put the industry term that relates to your industry in front of them. In my case, for Mastermind Adventures, I would put adventure travel market size. So I want to go out and I want to find out, how much in adventure travel is going on each year, and then if I can dig down into even further into certain segments of that, that'll give me an idea of what people are doing. So whatever your industry is, just put that word in front of those things, and you'll get a lot of good information. So I apologize, I can only read 2 lines of text at a time. So And again, I want to let you know I will be sending out this slide deck to everybody who was on the call today, so don't worry about that. You'll get the slide deck. How can we get copies of successful prospecti that were funded to help with modeling? Looking for Evernote, Dropbox, and other texts that got funded last year. Just emailed an example. So I guess the question is, okay, so you want to know, you want to get the prospectus from companies that were recently funded, and that's a little tricky, but not saying it can't be done, but I think if you, again, go out and do an exhaustive internet search, you may be able to find some of that information. But again, some of it's confidential, so you might not be able to find it all. But you know, the other thing is to try to go out there and you know, tell them that you're interested in investing and see if they'll send it to you. A lot of times they want to validate that you're an accredited investor before they'll agree to send anything to you. So I don't know. That's a great question, but I know it's out there. And you know, we can definitely work on that if you're interested. So someone else asked, they have to jump in and out, and will a replay be available? Absolutely, we'll get that up as soon as we can. It's being recorded like 3 different ways, so I'm very hopeful that we'll have it up and going for you guys as early as tomorrow. So somebody else wants me to email the free market research websites. Because I was talking too fast, and I apologize for that. I know that's a lot to go through. I didn't want to get hung up too much on that one thing, but I will do that. I will, when I email out I'll get an attendee list from this, and I will email out the information on all of those sites. So somebody else asked me what an IPO is. That's an initial public offering. And typically pretty large deals when companies go public on the stock exchange. You know, they're an investment bank is typically the leader of an IPO, and they underwrite the whole thing, and shares of stock are sold for the first time. And a couple of LinkedIn, I think, had an IPO recently, and there have been others where people I know have made a ridiculous amount of money. So you know, IPO is kind of the crowning achievement for any startup that goes public and turns a lot of people into millionaires. It's any of those other exit strategies, in my opinion, are great as well. But IPO is definitely the top notch. So someone else here says, I have a business plan template that covers all 7 secrets that you have discussed, goes through the information step by step. I'm not sure that's a question, but that's great. And you know, there are a lot of templates out there. There's a lot of information about business planning, but really it's the work that you do, it's the research that you put into it, it's the time and energy that you put into writing and thinking about your business model, creating it, crafting it, creating assumptions that you can defend. That's really critical, because investors will try to shoot holes in your assumptions, and the more you can defend them, they test you. And I think in a blog a little while ago, I likened it to getting in a rowboat and crossing a lake, with investors lining the lake on either side with guns and shooting holes in your boat as you try to row across the lake. Well, if you've made that boat bulletproof, you don't have anything to worry about. You can easily paddle your way across the lake, get to the other side, and get funded. But you know, definitely those assumptions are key. And the 7 secrets are certainly things from an investor perspective that makes their life easier and makes them more inclined to take the next step with you, if nothing else. And I think that's really important. So will I be offering this in the future? I'm unable during that time to another commitment. I am interested. Well, absolutely. I don't know when, and that's the question. And again, I'll stress that you know, these sessions are all going to be recorded, If you want, you can you'll be able to actually email in or post some questions in advance of each webinar session. So if you can't make one or a couple of them, you can still get your questions answered. And I would encourage you to do that, because I think it's there's probably very few people that will be able to make all 8. And I do want to point out that I specifically set it up so that we wouldn't be interrupting anyone's Valentine's Day on the 14th of February. So we're straddling on either side of that date, but we're not going to be on Valentine's Day. But I definitely would encourage you to sign up if you're interested, because you're going to get the help and information one way or the other, whether it's live or on a recorded session. So, okay. Next question: private corporation. What if you plan to be around forever and make a lot of money continuously? Do you really need an exit strategy? Is the ability of an investor to cash out by selling stock back to the company at current value? Well, that's a great question, and it really depends on the investor and their needs. And if you're paying dividends and you've got a great cash flow going to them, forever and ever, a lot of investors are going to be happy with that. They don't necessarily, but you want to emphasize that you're going to, when someone invests in your company, they want to see a return of some sort, whether that value is going up or you're paying dividends or something. They're going to want to get their money back somehow. So it's always an exit, whether it's taking it out little by little or all at once. So just keep that in mind. What if my business is a small startup? I probably need less than 100,000. Well, that's a great question as well. And there certainly are a lot of small startups, and I differentiate generally at $250,000, $250,000. And we actually at Blue Horizon offer what we call a summary plan. And anytime that someone tells me that, hey, I'm just a small business, I just need 200,000 or 150,000 to get started. A lot of cases you'll get away with doing a summary plan, and you can do a little less market research. You still want to have all your bases covered. You still want to go through the same exact process, but you probably don't need to go through as much of an exhaustive research process that you do for a venture capital quality plan, where you're raising over 250 and upwards of 25 million. You definitely want to have all your bases covered and know how much information is required. So in a business plan, how much is important? The financial forecast in relation to explaining the project itself. Well, they're both very important, and unfortunately or not, I think a lot of investors are focused on numbers and not as much on the story. But I think you still have to tell a great story to really get their interest, because what is it? What's unique? Is there a big market for what you're doing? Those are things that get people excited. So you have to do both, and through the rest of your plan, you're building all of these sections. And if you go to the business plan blueprint website, it'll talk about all the different sections that we're going to cover, and certainly explaining your product and your company is very important. I didn't mean to gloss over that, but I think there's a balance there. You have to have a lot of good solid financial information backed by assumptions, but you also have to have an engaging story that's going to get people, fired up about your business. So when choosing payback as an option for exit, what kind of return would investors expect? Again, this is a tough question to answer because every investor is different. There are investors out there that are probably satisfied with 10% returns if they feel like they've got a safe investment. There are others that they tongue in cheek call venture capitalists vulture capitalists, because they have expectations of 50 to 100+% in payback. So, it depends on the investor. And one of the things that people waste a lot of time on when they're seeking funding is talking to the wrong investors. You want to target investors that are interested in your industry and that are doing deals that are your size. So if you're looking for $1 million and your investors, only invest in 10 million and above, you're wasting your time. If you're in medical devices and this investor specializes in mobile applications, then you're wasting your time again. So make sure that you're talking to the right kind of investors, and then make sure that their expectations for return are in line with what you're willing to give them. So I think that is our last question here, unless anyone else has anything to add. I thank everybody for your time this evening. I enjoyed. Oh, wait a minute. Might have got one more. Direct consulting for a summary biz plan project. Okay, well, this is an offline question, I think. So, yeah. So, looking for direct consulting for a summary biz plan project. So, is there a special offer for a summary business plan? No, there really isn't, because the difference is on your end, not necessarily on my end. Still doing the same amount of work and giving you the same amount of time. It's just that you probably won't have to go out and do as much research. But I would still encourage it, because I think it's a good exercise to really go out there, understand your industry, understand your competition, understand your customers. And it's really important, whether you're raising a little bit of money or a lot, to understand all of that stuff. So again, thank everyone for your time this evening. Have a great night. And again, here's the website, bluehorizonbc.com/business-plan-blueprint. Go ahead and check that webpage out, because it will give you a little more detail on everything that we're going to cover. It's a lot of information, but it's a great exercise to go through to really give your business plan the best chance. And I will cite as evidence, we have a success rate here at Blue Horizon of over 65% of our plans get some sort of funding in some form. And compare that to the statistic I told you about before, which is less than 0.5%, or less than 1 in 200 business plans written ever get funding. So it definitely pays to do the work and do it right if you're serious about your business and making it work. So again, thanks for your time, and I will look forward to talking to you down the road. Take care.